you? I hope that you're all getting ready to do something really relaxing for the Memorial Day weekend. And I hope that if you know of anybody in your DNA, if you've done 23andMe and all of that good stuff, and you've found people who gave everything in the line of duty, I hope that maybe you take time to go to their graves. I love going to old pioneer cemeteries. I grew up, well, when I was going back and forth between being a runaway and in foster homes, I got exiled to my aunt who lived in the middle of nowhere. They figured that would teach me a lesson. Well, I found this, and it was really unknown. It was kind of an abandoned pioneer graveyard, but I would just hang out there all day after school. So cool. I learned history through there and just really became aware of how fortunate we were, even in the 80s by that when I was going there, because I would see, this tragic family story there where one sibling after the other passed away from the simple childhood illnesses that we have immunizations for, we have treatments for. They would get influenza, they would get unspeakable things, and they didn't have a way of knowing how to treat dehydration, etc., etc. We're very lucky for the age that the time that we live in now, where we have immunizations, and smallpox would go through and take out a whole family, and so where it was just out there in the middle of nowhere, and I saw a lot of graves that didn't have much of a marking other than like a first name and a year. And as I get older and I learn about how people, would travel through areas, you would just think that, maybe they were traveling through on their stagecoach and something happened and they needed to bury their loved one, and whether or not they could come back to it, who knows? And I find that in some of the cemeteries where I visit out here in the Midwest. I went to a really beautiful one in South Dakota, North Dakota. Can't remember which Dakota it was. I think it was in North Dakota because it was by the Corn Palace, and there were a lot of really cool Civil War graves, and I really like them. Now, if you've ever seen coins on a grave, it's kind of cool. Um, the way that it's supposed to be, and it's not always, because you'll see coins and you're going, there's no way this person could have been there for that. Because the way that coins go, so coins on graves, let me Google it really quick so you'll know. Okay, so coins on a headstone. Oh, of course, it has to be something I could download. No, I don't want to download. So let's see here. So a coin left on a headstone lets the deceased soldier's family know that somebody stopped by to pay their respects. If you leave a penny, it means you visited. A nickel means that you and the deceased soldier trained at boot camp together. If you served with a soldier, you leave a dime. A quarter is very significant because it means that you were there when the soldier was killed in action. The tradition became popular in the United States during the Vietnam War. It is believed that it's a way to show respect without getting into an uncomfortable political discussion about a war that was very controversial. Now, this one that I just read was just a quick Google from ABC Chicago. This was written by. Well, I guess they gave the credit to ABC7, and they had interviewed Colonel Dave Taylor, a Vietnam War veteran. So many times at this time of year, you will see the little flags put, they'll go through and put them all in the national cemeteries. And I think it's just important to honor the smaller ones. So if you're there to pay your respects, bring some coins. And if you see, there's usually like a little medal that will be there for Civil War, a Civil War soldier. It almost looks like a modern day kind of sheriff's badge, if you will, and it'll be on a post, and it'll be next to the headstone. And the headstones are very much those, just the white ones. They're harder to read because they're basic and they're just generally engraved. Now, I would like to become more trained in how to clean the graves and polish them. I just do the basics of, if there's one that I walk by that hasn't been groomed in a while, I just do the basics, and push the rubbish off, and so that the name is clear. But I bring coins and do that. So talk to your kids about the history. Talk to your kids about what Memorial Day means. Now, I wanted to go to a segue, talking about graveyards and whatnot. Let's go over here to my community page. Creators have a community page, and if you guys don't know that, it's when you go to your favorite creator, or you want to see if that creator's up to something, or they've done something, or whatever. Go to the part where it shows videos, playlists, etc., and it will have something that says community, and you'll go on there, and it's almost like a Facebook feed, but the posts don't stay there for long. I think only a day. So it's really frustrating, because by the time I see the comments and try and get back, then you guys aren't going to be able to see it. Now, YouTube does hide comments. I thought that I was all caught up, and then, a bunch came through, or if I'll go to each video and I'll start trying to seek them out, because they're not visible to me. It's really interesting. Nonetheless, check this out on my community page. Look at this. We have bats, rats, and other, because Call It As I See It made a freaking masterpiece. And so this is Feral Michelle's house. And wait till you read the description, or I read it to you, because I'm going to read it to you whether you like it or not. So here's the one picture. And then I guess, so Call It As I See It said that the lawyer and ETN both did this. Scott Sykes was the attorney, right? So, right. So, he's rubbing his temples. And ETN is putting his hand over his face, and you got dumb shit over here, lying and doing some weird. I think that you know what that is when you're doing that with your tongue. It means you just suck dick. But she's doing a dick sucking face over there, looking at ETN, and ETN is covering his face like, no, nothing's gonna get you one more month, you horrible whore. And it says, ignorance of law is no excuse. Is the no fuckery zone. S-A-V. So I guess this is the way that it looked for the Zoom feed. Call It As I See It, whether it's a lady or a man, I don't know. So I will say they did just this excellent thing. And they said that, they are comfortable sharing publicly known things from the trial, but nothing else. And that's the way we've all kind of had to approach it. Fortunately, Feral Michelle is very forthcoming, and she will tell you everything you ever wanted to know. Just like this one here has an 8 3/4 inch cock, not an 8-inch one, not a 9-inch, 8 3/4. Okay. I'm sure that, as time went by, and probably because, it sounds like ETN went back home, and his mother probably said, whatever money you need, you get your ass straightened back out and get the house done, whether you have to let it go or whatever. I'm sure the family is just like, get an attorney and do this. Don't let her push you around. Because it seems like that's what's finally happening, where ETN is just done. And I guess he was quoted as saying that he didn't care if the bank took the house. And that's what it needs to come down to, because quite honestly, I think that there is a great chance that the house will be condemned. The house at one point was vacant for years before they even bought it. So there's some backstory there. Uh, so basically, it was built and then it was foreclosed, sat empty for a long time, was bought by somebody, and then they bought it. But Michelle and Etienne had, basically treated it like a ATM and refinanced 2 or 3 times on it. So there's not a lot of equity in it, and with as much remediation that would have to be done, it's going to be really interesting. I bet you that Etienne is just going to say, you know what, it's fine. I'm at the midpoint in my life. If I have to claim bankruptcy and let it go, fine. I think that so many people, are that way right now, post pandemic, where we're like, you know what, we're making ends meet, but it's not comfortable. If it is that you have to claim bankruptcy, so freaking what? You made it to this point, just do it. I'm sure that's where he's at. I'm sure he wanted to do the right thing and not. But at some point, you just have to be able to let it go. And then, look at this one. It's just oh, I call it as I see it. It just freaking knocked this out of the park with these visuals. I can't. And just the way that she looks, and see, she's got those eyebrows, and when they yeet the F up, that's when she's trying to manipulate somebody. When I redid some of Penelope's videos, and I watched that one where she was all trying to act all badass that she told the officers to F off. Did you see what I did? Yeah, I told them to F off. Yeah. Yeah, once they're already in their cars and they're zooming out of there at a high rate of speed so she doesn't bite or piss on them like she has before. And she's like, yeah, did you hear me say that? And her eyebrows were doing this thing. So it's like when she's trying to be tough and trying to convince somebody that she did something, she puts these up. And it's unlike any height of eyebrows I've ever seen. And then she's got this hairline here, and it is just like the Count on Sesame Street. And the Penelope video that had the count in there, counting 1, 2. I don't know if Penelope was doing that because she looks like the Count or not, but she looks like the frickin' Count. And this is seriously the Count hairline. And people were saying, okay, who wore it best? Because, who's got the hairline here between Etienne and Michelle? Who's got the better hairline? Well, one's kind of a man and supposed to have that. But I don't know. Scott Sykes, he's got, he's a silver fox over here. For an attorney to put his hands up like this, I don't think I've ever seen that. And I have spent a lot of time in court for hearings and other things that one of these days I'll tell you guys all about, but I've never seen an attorney do this, and I've spent my fair share of time with attorneys. Um, and so, she looks like a baboon sitting there like that. But like I say, she's doing the, like, mm-hmm. Now, she was saying that people were calling her tuna can titties and blah, 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 blah. No, that was Ski. When she kept trying to flash him to get him to cut feeds when he was talking to any other female, he called her that, and he was like, oh, Michelle, what the, God, stop. What the hell? Your nipples are over in your armpits. What? Oh, God. Big nipples of tuna cans, man. And tuna cans and socks. It was Ski who said it. It wasn't anybody else. So she can't even keep it straight what people have said. But she's over there. She's on her apology tour. And she does these apology tours when she's got a new sucker on the hook. When she has a whole new set of grifters, a new narcissistic supply, if you will, she wants to go and bury her skeletons. So she wants anybody else that she's, has open fights with, she wants to say sorry and have them go away so that they're not waiting for her, so that the new supply finds what they have. She wants to bury the bones and go onward. And you know what? I'm glad. And Best Bot is not taking her apology and the truce and everything. And no, she shouldn't. Farrell did unspeakable things by going real life and going after somebody's daughter. Unspeakable things. That is disgusting. Thank God she was all right and had enough sense to say, hey, I've got a threat. Something's going on. Watch me, and girls, women, you should always just don't walk to your car alone. Just don't. Um, I try to not watch anything that JLR posts, but he was inferring that this other chick is somehow possibly an accomplice of Brian Koberger, and he put her whole arrest of a DUI on. And it was interesting to watch because it was, I think she was 22, a student over there at WSU. And that's, I'm from that area, and it's that small town where you still have um, men as protectors, and you still have the doors open for you. And you heard the officer um, tell the girl, that she could go and get her coat. And then when one of the other passengers was getting out of the vehicle, he said, hey, don't walk over there by yourself. Grab one of these guys and go over there and put this in your car. And it was that. And it was just, a good reminder that, especially if you've been drinking and stuff, just grab a guy. It's just going to lessen your chances so much of something happening. And that's where I'm really glad that Bot's daughter, let the guys who are supposed to be watching out, watch her a little closer. And that's all you got to do. I mean, this one time I was walking into the freaking mall, the Seattle area where I'm from, and this guy came up to me in the parking lot, and he just was really talking to me, just like just blabbing and blabbing and blabbing, and then it was like all of a sudden he was acting like we're together, and that we're gonna go get food at the food court and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, dude, I am not with you. I don't know where this went from me trying to like avoid eye contact to you not shutting up. And he looked over one way, and I just dove into the Disney store, like behind a display. And I saw him looking around out there where I went. And, I made eye contact with one of the females, and I pointed at him, and I was just like, like, please. And they're like, oh, and they just, kind of came, went to the door, and just, looked around, like that, they played it off that they were just, looking and greeting customers and stuff. And I hid until, I was like, that guy is creeping me out. I'm afraid he won't leave me alone. And they were like, okay, let's watch. And so they made sure he was gone. And then we called security, and security was able to see him on camera and whatnot. And then one security guard was able to just come and walk me to my car, and I got the heck out of there. But it's sometimes that communication, and it's being comfortable enough as a woman to say, hey, look, something is creeping me out, something isn't right, especially in parking lots. So you guys just always watch. And it's disgusting that she sicked a man on her to do that. And it shows because, she talks about she was an escort, the definition of an escort. She said she was making $500 an hour and 10,000 a day or a weekend or whatever. So what? She's just going from one person to the next, spending what? Okay, 10,000 in what did she say, a day or a weekend? And is it a weekend 2 or 3 days, or was it a long weekend like this one coming up? This is what, 3 and 4. I mean, just somebody taking the Friday off with it. I mean, what is she even talking about? But she acts like she's Pretty Woman, and that she was worthy of, that kind of money. And I am here to tell you that it's bullshit. And a woman, I mean, Michelle had her day in the sun. Michelle was probably really cute at one point. But after she started doing her crap and everything, that really took away her looks. But when she was in her prime, sure, she could have been a pro very easily. But I'm here to tell you that the legend of escorting is baloney. Unless you are, that unfortunately 18 to 20-year-old girl, you're not going to get that kind of money. Oh gosh, what was that? Um, called? Girl Next Door? No, not Girl Next Door, but was the show about, oh, Girlfriend Experience. Was it GFE? Girlfriend Experience? I think that's what it was. Let me look it up. It's actually a really, really good series, if I can remember what it's called. To look, it's a few years old, but let's see here. Show. Yeah, okay. So it's called The Girlfriend Experience. It was put out in 2016. It, let's see, where can you see it now? It said it was on Stars originally. So you can probably find it on Hulu or Netflix. I don't know if you can find it on YouTube. Sometimes you can find those older shows, but and I mean, by the time it got to the third season, it was, you know, a little out there and stuff, really into the AI, you know, the artificial intelligence and how that would be to, because that's where the future is, you know, really where they're not going to be hiring the real girls. It's AI, you know, to a robot girlfriend to, you know, stimulate. But it really gets into how the lifestyle is, and I think it's a an accurate way to see that, sure, if you're young and beautiful and determined, this is what it could be. But the kind of John that Michelle could get is not going to be paying 500 an hour for her company. They wouldn't pay 500 a night. Um I I think that she's probably more in the 125 a night realm. I have a lot of friends in the business, and uh, I'm going to leave it at that. But anyway, I think that, you know, Etienne was lonely, and he probably did the girlfriend experience, wanted somebody to spend a weekend with, and it sounds like they spent that one weekend, and that was the kiss of death, or the oh damn, as she calls it, or they called it in that in the 8 3/4 and the golden pussy were linked together. So, anywho, without further ado, I'm gonna start. Can't stop laughing at this. It is sad because this is such a beautiful house. Um, and I look at it and I think, what is it, 230, 226, 230 in that price range. And for all of that house, that's really, you know, really neat. But I just don't think there's the jobs and stuff. So that's where um, you see a lot of this house. I think it's 20, is it 2,500 square feet? But I've seen different listings and stuff, but there's nothing that you know. I looked it up because I didn't think that there was anything here that was a separate entrance for an Airbnb. Airbnb has very specific rules, and you have to have the insurance for it and everything. Oh, well, she's interviewing jobs. She can interview all she wants. She's not going to have a job, and I know that she did at once have an insurance certificate, so I had to, you know, eat my words and saying she never did. But I've also seen the screenshot sent to me that the license was revoked and stuff too. So I know that the one said that it went to this date, but I think that there's been an action taken before that was supposed to expire and whatnot. Etienne went into the insurance industry after she ruined the end of his military career with her shit. And so he went into that because he had to provide, and she thought that she'd copy and then they could be in the home together and they could work together 24/7, and they could take breaks together, and he could cook for her and he could bathe her and put her to bed and take care of her as she falls out drunk and pees the bed and all of the good stuff that she does. So I think that, you know, when she wants to be, she can be really good. You know, when Michelle is good, she's very good, but when she's bad, she's very, very bad. And I think that she can get it together enough to pass a test, as she obviously did. But then you look at it and you're going, okay, so the same person who wants us to believe that she is this insurance adjuster honestly got her license, took the test, and passed. I don't know how hard the test is. But she was able to be present enough to do it. But then she'll be sitting there saying that she's in a protected class of people. Thanks, Lisa C. You put that in her freaking head. That is so horribly, horribly mentally deranged and disabled that she can't do anything. But then she'll say that she made $10,000 a weekend. Bottom line, our tax dollars have been paying her about $1,000 a month for the last at least 20 years. And her insurance, and her food, and her, well, insurance, medical. Think about it. And then she was double covered with the TRICARE from the end of the military that Etienne had. It, our tax dollars, hard at work, supporting Michelle. Still are, because with Etienne's retirement, the alimony and the medical, yeah. It's all going to Michelle. So when you guys are going to work and you have that tax taken out of your paycheck, there you go. That goes to Michelle and others like her that are mooching off the system. And that's why it's time to start seeing who shouldn't be on SSI, SSDI, all of those things. Can't have it both ways. But anyway, this house that was once beautiful was shitted up by Michelle. And here we go here. Here we go here. Call It As I See It did this beautifully. So we're going to go right here. Right. So Call It As I See It in the no fuckery zone. Put hashtag Michelle Sabate with listing her, air quotes, house for sale. I feel like this wording would sell this house today. Think of that picture, okay? This is a fantastic view of this 3-story house from the steep driveway, which has a security gate. You can see the balcony on the first and second floors, which runs along the entire side of the house. The balcony on the third level has French doors, and it's much smaller. This house has vaulted ceilings, large windows, no curtains, and plenty of rodents. You could be blessed enough to wake up inside this 4 bedrooms, 3 full bath house to find bats in the attic. They don't take up much room, but they do require a large area below them for their bat droppings, also called guano. The guano contains microscopic fungi that can cause health problems in humans. If bats have taken up residence in your home, you will notice their droppings. They are shiny, crumble easily, and give off a foul odor. The current squatter likes to show the bats for Halloween. She doesn't mind the odor. Please. If you don't like the bats, that's okay. This house also has armadillos. If you leave the doors open, they might even come inside with you. If you're not a fan of armadillos, you might enjoy the scorpions in the bathrooms. If you like to live on the edge, don't turn the light on in the morning when you go to use the toilet. You might get a kiss from a friendly scorpion. Maybe you prefer rats in the kitchen while you cook. I hear these rats carry around black peppercorns so you can have a pepper for every meal. The rat will put the peppercorns in your pots and pans for you. They're very helpful rats. There's about a total of 15 acres of land on either side of this house, but it does not come with a sale. You can lie like the current squatter and tell all of the online community that you own it all. All of it is mine. It is all mine. I live in a very, very big area. It's all mine. I'm out here alone in all of these acres and acres of land. Sorry, I just got possessed again. Sometimes happens. The first floor has a full-size gym with a tanning bed. It's probably dusty due to lack of use. The current squatter has a perfect body, so she never steps foot in that gym. She does brag about all of the equipment, but she never uses, and so can you. The second floor is the main level. That's where all the nasty is. If you don't own black socks, that's okay. Slip on some white socks and walk around on the spotless travertine floors in the kitchen. If that doesn't get your white socks as dark as you'd like, take a tiptoe over by the couch. You'll see the whole area where the current squatter dumps her ashtray on the floor. Do the twist in that area, and I'm sure your white socks will be black as night. If you're in the dining area on the second floor, but you need to see or talk to someone on the third level, there's a good sized hole so you can look and speak through. Convenient. Lastly, the master suite on the second floor has French doors that open to the fenced yard that you will own, that is not part of those 15 acres. You'll love how thick and bright the green grass is, thanks to the manure fertilizer. The current squatter has two very large dogs who run in and out on their own. They do their business in that yard, which keeps it so thick and bright green. To the current squatter, they have piles large enough to compete with a horse. She never cleans up after them, so your yard will have all of the dog patties all over it. The bedroom floor should be super nice since the yard is full of patties and the dogs trample through that and then ran back inside with their shitty feet. The squatter has a shark steam mop, but she never uses it. Not even sure that she knows where it is. You better hurry and make your offer today. This gorgeous, clean, and well-kept house won't be on the market long. The current owner said he'll even give it back to the bank. Isn't that nice of him? Did I miss anything important? Continue this listing in your own comment if you'd like to help also. It's wonderful! And so then the comments are getting really good. I encourage you to add your own comments. If you go to, I call it as I see it, or you go to my community page, they will see it too. Add it in there. Just keep adding on the comments. Because we'll call it as I see it. Said, I almost forgot something very important. The lingering smell of piss in the living room from that pissy mattress that's been there for almost a whole year now. Have no worries, though. I'm sure the current squatter will be happy to leave it here for your guests to use when they visit this large house on the hill. Now, see, call it as I see it was thinking the same thing I was. Because you look at this and we must have been posting it at the same freaking time because this is what I wrote. I just had to add. I said, brilliant. I shall share this to my community page. I would like to add that the downstairs flooding has caused black mold to compete with the other respiratory concerns like the guano. The smell of dog shit, rat shit, rotting dead, badly shot, several times pregnant armadillos, combined with spilled beer, urine, lots of human and dog, bat, rat, urine, and ciggies will be the smell that welcomes you home. And for added texture, the bullet hole in the living room, boogers all over the master bedroom, and crusty, rotted food from the taco truck will be there to guide you from room to room. I think the guano could be sold to Maybelline for mascara. Maybe it's Maybelline. Honestly, I think it's going to be contempt. That's probably her goal, as she would just go slither back in. Now, and the reason why I really think it's going to be condemned is because long ago and far away, Farrell was a real estate agent. She knows. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows exactly how to devalue that home. She wants the home to be so devalued that she can buy it with nothing. That she can get it with what she has, which isn't much, but whatever people are giving her in their cash apps, I don't know if they're getting all together and giving every cent they have so that she can get it, because she knew exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, to sabotage it. And that's what she's been doing. Now, it is my theory that when she kicked Jake one of the times, I think that Jake's back toenail hit her toe, And I think with all of the bacteria from the floors and whatnot, I think that's what got into her toe, and just from everything. And the smoking really causes circulation issues along with every other thing. Um, and just, the variability of her blood pressure going back and forth with the mixing of the drugs and alcohol. She wouldn't have much circulation to her toes with her age, and as hard as she's been on her body. It wouldn't take long for something like that to get to a very advanced infection. Now, as it all came through and we're all done with the toe, she hasn't said anything about it. That means it didn't even go to her bone. So she didn't have like osteomyelitis. She didn't have the gangrene. It was a surface infection that was just filthy and nasty because, well, it's filthy and nasty. And I think that you have to think about that and the damage. I mean, she put all those bandages around. Oh, nasty, disgusting bandages are there. Cigarettes are all over there. Food is all over there. She has shitted it up. So the cost of somebody going in there to clean, the cost of the remediation for the flooded downstairs, the remediation for the kitchen, the rats, none of that can even occur until and if the bats are taken care of first. And you'd have to get, I don't know if there's a Batman that would come in there and get the bats and help them fly back out because she's got them trapped in that thing. And then the dead rats, but they're going to have respirators on because a lung infection from bats, I mean, I think back to, our governor's mansion in Washington State, Governor Locke. They found there was a couple bats in the mansion, and the family, the governor and his family had to be put up in a hotel until they could get it out because, you just don't want bats around if you have children or you're immunocompromised. I mean, Michelle must be really freaking healthy because she survives each day with all that she does to her body and breathing in the bat shit. Now, the other thing that, I mean, yeah, because that piss mattress, she picks her nose. That couch is going to have to be pulled out. I mean, 800 pounds because of all the skin flakes and, because it's been in there since day one. I, what did she call it? What's that company? Something serve or whatever. That was they couldn't go in there because she was causing fights with them and firing them. Oh, I forgot I fired them. Oopsie. I don't even know where to begin. The thing that grosses me out the most was that nasty, nasty frickin' fish chowder stew thing that she made. It was this fish crap stew, and it was in a pot, and then like she heated it up the next day or something and was eating out of it and cooking something else and then saying she's gonna bring it down to the police station. God. And she was making some taco soup and was gonna bring it down to the police or something. They're probably just like, God, no. They would never be hungry enough for all of their life. Can you imagine she goes down there, I have some food for you. Come on. I want to see you eat it. Come on. Come on. I know that you're hungry. And they're like, oh, we got a call. Yeah, we got a call. Yeah. Well, sorry. We got to go. God. Oh. I can't imagine the smell of the house. Now, call it as I see it is actually, it's really speaking the truth here on the dog shit because I had
my ex husband and I had rental properties, and I don't know if I've ever told you guys about this, but the one, um, she had these two big fucking dogs, and it was like the first renter, and I shouldn't have done it, but I did, and I mean, it was just awful because the dogs just tore the yard up in the house and everything, and the amount of the damage deposit didn't come near covering everything. It was just really uncomfortable when she moved out because it's like the cost of having to replace everything. I mean, yeah, new carpet and paint and sod for the yard and all the plants. I mean, I was doing the best I could, but it was like, and there was fleas and it was terrible. I'm showing her all the costs and everything, but it was really uncomfortable. Just her dogs just tore the freaking shit out. But anyway, I was fixing the yard, and my begonia bush really was getting just this gorgeous purple. I had never gotten it to have color like that. It was like my begonia was just always kind of white, would get some kind of little blush kind of pink in there. But I mean, it was vibrant, freaking purple, just gorgeous. And I was just kind of trimming it down. And then I was like, what the fuck? I can't smell the beautiful begonia. What the? Why does it smell like shit in the whole yard? And oh, well, because she put all of the dog shit underneath the begonia bush. So it was just this mountain of nasty, rotten, maggot filled dog shit under the begonia bush. God, why? Why? Oh, the next tenant, um, well, he had a dog and he was weird. But I mean, it's a single kind of Jeffrey Dahmer type. I, he got sick and he wasn't able to really get up and feed the dogs. And so he just put the food basically on the carpet. And so I had to pull the carpet, pull the padding, and get a shovel and like shovel and shovel and shovel, against the like hardwood, getting all of the layers and layers and layers of crustified dog food, wet dog food, off of the floor and foundation of the frickin' house. And there was blood on the walls and stuff. And I mean, seriously, this dude looked like Jeffrey Dahmer. And I found this like container of lye underneath the kitchen sink. And I'm like, shit, do you think he murdered something? I literally called the frickin' detective in my city. I'm like, do you think what I'm seeing should be a crime scene here? And he's like, well, would you really want to know? I mean, is he going to rent it? He's like, if you put it for sale, you might want to just go. I mean, he was hilarious about it. But I'm like, well, I'm serious. Like, I've done the things. Like, I put hydrogen peroxide in this bubbling. This is freaking blood on the walls and the lye. And they're like, well, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, maybe it's just to get the dog hair down, and maybe the dog had it. I'm like, oh God. So I mean, I've dealt with this with my own with renters, and I mean, I've been on both sides of it. I've been a renter and I've been a landlord, and I always took good care of the property, but I always had asshole landlords. Just assholes. But I have a feeling that what I've seen is nothing compared to what the poor soul is gonna have to see to get into this house to evaluate it, because I don't even know. I mean, are they going to have to put in? I mean, how do you figure out if it's going to be condemned, the damage to it versus sale of the house? I don't know. And like I say, is that what she's doing? Because then she wants it to be condemned and then go and buy it on a tax sale or something. I don't know. She always has a plan. There's always a plan in whatever she's doing. It never count her out. She knows what she's doing. But anyway, does anybody remember what happened? I missed this chapter. What happened to the man that she had that was the improved ETN? So maybe he was an actual ATM, and he was going to give her the money to front for her girls' trip to take all the girls on their Florida vacation and just, relax and spa all the way and everything. What happened with that? Makes you wonder, right? Well, again, call it as I see it, knocked it out of the park. Thanks for listening, and go to call it as I see it page and add on to this listing. Let's just make sure that everybody knows exactly what they're getting into if they go to buy this property. And again, have a great long weekend. Remember the reason for it. Talk to your kids about what the meaning of the holiday is for, and be safe. Traffic is already terrible, terrible out there. So everybody be safe and take care. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.